I'm thrilled about this name change because it really is saying what we do. It's saying what we do in this house. It's amazing that this building has two fantastic companies, and I think it's been known for a long time that people don't sometimes realise that there is ballet here at the Royal Opera House. So it's been a long haul, and actually when it happened, somebody sent me a little clip from Desert Island Discs with Sir Anthony Dowell, and in it Sue Lawley was the interviewer at the time, and she said, isn't it odd that the Royal Ballet perform at this place called the Royal Opera House? And he said, yes, it would be great if it said Royal Ballet and Opera. We have had people, it's sad to say, people from politics that have come in and gone, oh, are the Royal Ballet here? And so that's disappointing. And so hopefully this will address that in people's minds, that this is really the home of both companies. I work very closely with Heather Baxter, who is our administrative director, and of course then we all work then very closely with the Royal Opera House. And so it used to be, when I was doing that job, and years before, it used to be done in a different way, so there was a budget. Now we sort of work the other way around and put together what we'd like to do, and then see how that fits in with everything else that's going on within the Opera House. So it goes through many iterations, but yeah, I do have lists of things that we've done, and I do have a crazy brain. The one thing that I'm really good at remembering is programs and what we've programmed over. I could tell you every triple bill, every mixed program that we've done, at least in the last 12 years, if not before. You can, maybe don't ask me now, but I can do that quite easily. So I do have it somehow in there. So it is about that mix. And I do think, I do look at it beyond the season as well, because of course the season is from September to June normally, but of course it's in years as well, and I think that's important to look at the years and what we're presenting to the public. And I think more and more people, as we're getting more and more new people coming into the Opera House and seeing more ballet, I think they wouldn't know what a season is. They just see what's going on in the year, and so they might go, if there's too many contemporary works together, they might go, oh, well, we've done that sort of contemporary work, we'd like to see something classical, and vice versa. So I just try and look at it as a whole for the year, but also the season as well, because we all still work in that. And so it's an interesting combination, really, to think about those things. So yeah, one of the major highlights of the season is Mad Adam by Wayne McGregor. And what was great about this was we've done a lot of work with the National Ballet of Canada. We started off with Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and then we did Winter's Tale together, and we've also co-produced Cinderella, Ashton's Cinderella together, and worked on many different projects with Robert Binet. So it was a really nice moment for them to open one of our co-productions, and it was in conjunction with Karen Kane's leaving, and of course she really wanted the company to have a premiere with Wayne, and I think it really was a fantastic moment for the company in Canada, because they hadn't worked with Wayne in that way. They had done some of his ballets, but for them to really be in the studio with him, and he's so inspiring and so creative and so involving with all the dancers, that they had the experience of a lifetime. So it was lovely to be able to share that, because we're very lucky that he's here with us and we get that all the time. And so it was really, I think it was an important moment for them. Of course, we always do love to do the premiere, so that was the only thing about it, but I know I was very happy for Canada. And yeah, I actually couldn't make the premiere because we had performances here, but I went over for the weekend performances, and so saw it twice. It's sort of epic in scale. I mean, it's a huge piece of work, and it brings together Wayne with Max Richter again, and also then different designers, and particularly on the fashion front, it's Gareth Pugh, who did the designs for Carbon Life, and he's also designed this for the whole design for Mad Adam. Apocalyptic in its style, and it's really it's a world where we're looking ahead in years to come on where we might end up, and which could feel like it's going to be this harsh, terrifying world, which there are elements of that, but some elements of human nature and human love and trust come through. And so in the end, it actually has an essence of hope and fulfillment in it, and it's a beautiful work, and it's challenging, it's big, it's bold, and yes, it's always interesting to go and read up a little bit about Margaret Atwood and the stories and things before you see it. But I think Wayne does work particularly well with Max Richter, and I think that combination of those two, and I mustn't forget, of course, the brilliance of Lucy Carter, who always adds so much to those productions. But really great roles. There's a lot of roles for a lot of principal dancers, and so it's really fantastic to be able to bring that over here, and you know, Wayne will be working with us from the beginning when we start to learn it, and with his team, and I think he will be tweaking as he goes along. And of course, there's something about that relationship between a resident choreographer and the company that they work with, and you know, there is a shorthand which is so remarkable that the dancers have with Wayne, and so I think there will be, it will probably look in some ways quite different from how it looked in Canada, just because of that relationship. But so we're looking forward to bringing it to the stage. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland was the catalyst, I think, for me personally to think this is what the Royal Ballet should be doing. We should be creating new work for both stages that we have here at the Royal Opera House, but also for moving dance forward and the genre. Alice is very different from any other ballet that we've done before or since, and it is extraordinary that it really looks at so many different dance styles within it, and tells the story so well, is so engaging, but also using set design, projection, music, you know, and characterizations that are sort of in the history, you know, of the Royal Ballet. It's in our DNA to create characters, and so already, you know, to use that word that's a little too often used, there are some iconic characters now from that, the Mad Hatter, you know, the Queen of Hearts, you know, and so people want to do those roles within the company, but also the audiences love seeing it. And, you know, it's no surprise to me that this ballet now is in, I don't know, countless companies around the world, because I think, you know, when we think of things that to take the whole family to, that's entertaining, that's fresh, that's new, you know, there isn't many of those around. And so I think this is a really great ballet as an introduction to dance in the same way that maybe the Nutcracker can be, but it really feels of now, even though it's going to this story from, you know, quite a long time ago. I'm really excited that, as well as Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, we have a whole evening devoted to Christopher Wheeldon. He's such an important part of the Royal Ballet as our artistic associate, but also in the world of dance and theatre, and is extraordinary what he's managed to achieve, and the sort of breadth of work that he's done across the ballet world, but the theatre world and film. And so, yeah, I wanted to sort of celebrate that in a way. And so we're calling the program sort of Ballet to Broadway. And so it's really reflecting all those different aspects of Chris's work. So a beautiful work, which we did in my first season and haven't done since, which is Fool's Paradise. And then 2 duets that weren't created for us, but we're going to dance. One is a duet between 2 men that was created for the Ballet Boys, and the second one was a duet that was originated down in lockdown for David Holberg and Sarah Means from New York City Ballet, and they're going to be taken on by our dancers. Of course, they're going to be molded into our dancers as well, and Chris will be around for that. And then we thought we've got to nod to his Broadway, life that he has now, and the great success of American in Paris. And there is this really great ballet moment at the end of the musical, and actually we talked quite a while. I saw the musical about 4 times. I saw it in Paris at the opening, and then I saw it here in London, then I saw it in New York. And so Chris and I had talked about it. Wouldn't it be fun to bring it to the company? So actually it's going to be a little bit longer because the actual music was cut a little bit for the show. And so it'd be fun to see our dancers taking on that Broadway magic. And yes, I think they're going to enjoy it. It's been a while since we've performed Balanchine. We did Apollo when we came out of lockdown, which of course when I'm watching Apollo I think, is this my favourite Balanchine work, because it's so extraordinary. And then you see something else and you think, oh, is that my favourite work? So it is very hard choosing what goes into a programme, and especially when you want to do a Balanchine evening, and I thought it was important for us to really immerse ourselves in Balanchine. So I went to, again, one of which when I watch it, I will say it's one of my favourite Balanchine ballets, actually favourite ballets ever, and Serenade. I mean, it's such a perfect piece of work, and the way it marries the choreography with the music, but also the feelings it gives you. I remember years ago, I was in New York and I was watching a few performances when I was still a young dancer in New York, and they were doing Serenade, and I was like, gosh, do you need to do any other ballet, in the world? You don't need to do Giselle, you don't need to do Swan. It's got so much emotion in it, and so it can set the imagination running, with all the things that it sort of makes you feel when you're watching it. So we did it in 2014, so I was really keen to bring it back, and with this new generation of dancers that we have in the company. So really looking forward to that opening. Because it's Balanchine, I felt it sort of needed that sort of traditional triple bill feel to it. And of course, one of his big narrative works is The Prodigal Son. It's been a work that's been quite associated with the Royal Ballet over many years. Both companies, the Old Savile Wells Royal Ballet did it, Birmingham Royal Ballet did it. This company, the Royal Ballet, has done it for many, many years, and with different people taking on those roles. So I felt we were to do it in March 2020. We even have the photo shoot to prove it, but we never managed it. So I really thought this is the time to do it. And again, there's great roles for obviously the main principal man, and also the role of the siren. And also it works well with Serenade because the rest of the cast is male, and so that's good. And then I fiddled around with what was going to be the finale, and there's loads of ballets that we have in our rep and we don't have in our rep that I was thinking about. Obviously we've done theme and variations before, but that has been done recently with English National Ballet. And I love there's a ballet called Symphony in 3 Movements, and I danced in it quite a lot, and I think it's a fantastic piece, and I'd love to bring it to the company. So I toyed with that for a while, but then I felt, we need the tutus, we need the glamour, we need the sheer chutzpah of Symphony in C, and it's such a massive ballet, and not many companies can do it because it's so huge. And so when you have the Royal Ballet, and it shows so many people off in that, with 4 movements, 4 principal dancers, 4 demi-soloists, so all in each movement, and it just finishes the evening with such exhilaration. So I felt, in the end, I went with Symphony in C. But there's too many to choose from. I'd even thought about Ballet Imperial as well, which is a beautiful ballet, but this felt like the right finale. It's been interesting with the Ashton Worldwide Festival and what we did just now, the Ashton Celebrated programs, and it was sort of everybody's ideas colliding together. So, on and off, I talk with Ian Webb, with Sarasota Ballet, because We let the company use our productions quite often, because they're doing some Ashton work, a lot of Ashton work. And even when we did a tribute to Margot Fonteyn, and I wanted to do a bit of apparitions, we used their costumes for that. So there's obviously this nice dialogue. I've known him and Maggie all my professional life. And so we were talking one day, and they had done an Ashton Festival around 2015, I think. And so I thought, we were talking about that, and he said, oh, I might do another festival, and it'd be great to invite your dancers. And I said, well, what about if we did it the other way around? And you came to us. We have this great little theatre, and some of those works I feel that he's revived and been able to perform would suit that particular stage really well, and the intimacy, because a lot of those were done for the intimacy of the Vic Wells or of the old Vic or Sadler's Wells. And so I think he was thrilled that I had the idea, and then I wanted them to also perform within our program as well. And then at the same time, just on the back of that, the Ashton Foundation said, oh, we're really, they've been given some really substantial backing, and they really wanted to push forward with promoting Ashton, not only in the UK. They have an amazing shadowing program, which is really important for repetiteurs to follow, would-be repetiteurs to follow the repetiteurs that are teaching those works now. And but they also have the funds to sort of promote Ashton worldwide. So they came up with the idea of the festival. We'd already been talking about this celebration, and so the two things collided, and we got the Ashton celebrated programs plus the launch of the festival. So it's been a really nice moment, brilliant for the company, brilliant for the Opera House to be full of Ashton from the main stage to the Limbri, and we did some insights in the Claw, and I think it was a really great moment to celebrate what our founder choreographer has given to us. Cinderella comes back for Christmas. Some people wear shock horror, there's no Nutcracker, but I think, obviously with Peter Wright's Nutcracker has become a real tradition with the Royal Ballet, but until that time, we did have Rudolph's version, but they didn't perform that for many years, and so it was really always Festival Ballet and English National Ballet that had that tradition of the Nutcracker every year. So I've always tried every now and again to mix it up. So we have done Capaldia at Christmas, and we have done Alice at Christmas during my time as director. So I thought today, this year was the time to do Cinderella. We only premiered it last year, and I feel the production really lends itself well to the choreography, but also to audiences of today. I think it's a spectacular production, beautifully designed, and really brings you into the story and helps you enjoy the choreography, but also the music in a way that it's like a little chink. There's a chink through into that ballet through the way we're presenting it now. So I think it'll be a great Christmas treat. And also, I love it that there's another option for people. I think EMB are doing a new Nutcracker this year. BRB will come to the Albert Hall, so how lovely that there's a Cinderella as well to enjoy. And again, super roles for the dancers. And having been immersed in Ashton, in June, and this is where I think about it more as a year than a season. We've been doing all that work with Ashton. How great just a few months later to then be going back into Ashton again with Cinderella. Romeo and Juliet was actually premiered in February '65, I believe. I think it might have even been Valentine's Day, I'm not sure. But we just slightly missed that by opening in March, but we'll be celebrating its 60th anniversary. Of course, it's a huge staple of the Royal Ballet repertoire. We've left it for 3 years since we've last done it, which for a while it was coming back every other season. So I thought it was important to just have a little break from that. So I'm excited to bring it back into the repertoire. Of course, it does everything that we love about telling stories, you know, with the music, with the design, with the amazing choreography of Kenneth Macmillan. And it all really came together in that moment. I mean, quite extraordinary that it's 60 years ago now. And, you know, and it's sort of another time to remember, you know, great dancers like Lynn Seymour and Christopher Gable, who really created those roles. And again, you know, lovely for dancers to be taking those roles on now. There were quite a few that made their debuts towards the last time of the run, so they will be coming back, but there will also be new people taking on all the roles across those ballets. And it really does, you know, for what the Royal Ballet does is, you know, tell the story through everybody on that stage. You know, that's what's important, and we really love everybody to be involved. So you're just not watching those two characters, you're watching everybody create this world that this tragedy happened in. And I've really enjoyed this year. We obviously had the Macmillan celebrated celebration of a mixed program. We also did Manon for celebrating its 50th, I think, anniversary. So there's always a lot of anniversaries, but I've very much enjoyed Lara Moreira working with me. She's now looking after the Macmillan estate, especially within the Royal Ballet, and she's brilliant at bringing those works to life. And you know, I really felt that Manon was a spectacular success this season, and I think I'm really know and hope, but know that it will do the same. We'll do the same with Romeo and Juliet. Onegin comes back into the repertoire. It's 60 years old as well, so another anniversary. And it's interesting with this one because it came late to the Royal Ballet. You know, and I believe it was in Ross Stretton's time as director that he brought it into the repertoire, and a really great fit for the company. You know, it really is such a wonderful ballet. And what I love about it, of course, is there's two big central roles, but there's the two roles of Lenski and Olga, which are perfectly realized, you know, and there's not that many roles like that in ballets, and so I love it as an opportunity to bring on, you know, people that are already doing well within the company's soloist roles, but to actually have those characters that have such an arc within a ballet is really important and a real part of their progression in becoming artists. And you know, it spring to mind, you know, the first time I brought it into the repertoire, you know, I'm putting Yasmin Nagdi and Matthew Ball in those roles, and how it really launched them in as a partnership in a way, and also in the way they create characters. And you know, they've gone on to obviously be part of the leading principals of the company now. So it feels like it's a very special moment when people do those roles for the first time. But yeah, it's a wonderful ballet, and I think we bring again that idea of everybody telling that story, not just those central characters, but everybody, whether you're in the countryside with Olga and you know, Onegin coming into the scene, or whether you're in the big ballroom. All of those things, you know, need everybody to be committed to them. And we're very lucky that we'll have Reed Anderson coming to work with us. Now he's a little bit freer, not running Stuttgart Ballet. It's great to have his input into bringing that ballet back to the stage. The pas de deux between Gremin and Tatiana is sort of unique, because you very rarely get a pas de deux that's just about two people that are actually very happily together. You know, it's not passionate love, you know, it's not and it's not anger, it's not anything, it's just two people very nice. And so it's always very nice choosing who those people that play Gremin. It's an important role, and it is about that. It's settled, and okay, life is calm, and you know, you don't see that very much in ballet, so it sort of is nice. It's been really extraordinary for the company to have this relationship with Crystal Pite. She is such a visionary and such a choreographic genius, really, and to have had this moment with her through the works that we've performed and created has been very, very special. So I'm really thrilled that Lighter Passage is coming back. You know, again, it's one of those that you think there's no ballet like this, and it really touches to the heart. And to talk, and I think it is important that we talk about issues of today. And unbelievably, when we first did the first part of Flight Pattern, which is now quite a few years ago, then the whole became Rites of Passage. It was very relevant, what we're talking about, the mass movement of people, immigration, how they're treated, how they're looked after. And then we're still talking about that today. It's election time and everybody's talking about immigration across the world, whether it's in America, whether it's in England, or whether it's in Europe, and how there's a real human side to those stories. And I think what's extraordinary about this work is that you see in the first movement, you do see the mass movement of people, and you just see people as a whole, and then these people start to come out, and that's what makes it so moving, because you just remember what that is about. What we sort of can wash over. Oh, it's just a lot of people, and then it's about the human story. And then this, what we added in the when we made it into Light of Passage, the touching, very short movement with the children, which is really about looking at children's rights and how we have to, it's our duty to look after children and how we do that. And somehow she encapsulates that in such a brilliant way. And and just having these young people being cared for and being looked after, but sort of standing still, and at the end, when they walk forward, it's just you just think, gosh, yes, this is something that we have to think about for the future. And then, as Crystal said, passing the last border that we'll all pass, going on to whatever that other life is, it feels like that in the third movement. And beautiful choreographic work and duets, but also bringing the whole feeling of the piece together, and having these two elder characters there at the forefront is really touching and poignant and true. So she's a very special artist, and we're always so grateful that we work with her. It's been very interesting working with the Paris Opera, and now Jose is there. I worked with Aurélie as well, and we had a lovely relationship, and that's how the co-production of the Dante project happened. But there'd been sort of this long-awaited debut of Marinella to perform at the Paris Opera. So it was thrilling that it eventually happened, and we worked together to make sure we could do it within our schedules. And I was very happy to be there with her, with that great company and in that great theatre. But before that, then, as happens in ballet companies, injuries happened, and Jose rang me about Marcelino going over and dancing La Fille Malgarde, which was one of his first, I think maybe his first principal role with the Royal Ballet. And so it was a lovely moment for him as well to go there. And of course, everybody, we all know where, we owe a lot to Paris and where a lot of it all started, so it has that history, and we know that the company obviously is a great company. So yeah, it would be wonderful to carry on that collaboration. We have a few ideas cooking, and one would be brilliant if we could make it happen. But it's difficult because we both have obviously our great principal dancers. They have their étoiles, and so we want to make sure in our companies that they get the performances that they deserve. So it is always hard to do that sort of guesting and changing over. But we're working on things. So we've got a contemporary program in the autumn, which is what I love about this program is it's not people that we're just plucking out of the sky. It's people that we have real relationships with and that we've worked with over years. And this is a culmination of that work, and I really think will be an exciting program. We open with a revival of The Weathering, which is by Kyle Abraham, a beautiful piece that he created a couple of years ago on the back of another piece that he'd created before then. And I'm really happy to be bringing that piece back to the stage. And then bang in the middle there, we have a world premiere from Pam Tanowitz. Pam has worked with us many times now, and I really she gets us. She gets the Royal Ballet and we get her. She's a really fantastic choreographer. And what I love about her is she uses, she just doesn't imprint her style. Of course, there is her choreographic style within the work, but she also uses the dancers and works with the dancers and uses their technique. And it really feels like this is a work that's uniquely the Royal Ballet's work when she does it. And I have to say, she's been creating a little bit before the summer, and she just has such a fantastic way in the studio. The dancers love working with her. She creates such a special space in the studio that people feel they can be creative and be themselves, which is really something special. And then I'm really thrilled that Joseph Tunga is creating a work which will be, again, for him, the culmination of his time working with us. And he's already created one work for the main stage within the Diamond celebration, but this will be a bigger work, and really thrilled to see what, after his work on a smaller scale with us and working with a specialized group of dancers, what he will bring to this main stage creation. And then finally we finish with the statement by Crystal Pipe. Again, we have this fantastic relationship with Crystal, and this is really one of the genius work of art. And I saw it in NDT when Crystal asked me to go over and see it, and I remember sitting there thinking, I wonder if we could do this, and would it work, for us and on our stage. And we did do it just on the back of COVID, so we did it for only 750 people, and I remember people just cheering from the amphitheatre to the stalls, and so I'm thrilled to be bringing it with a full house and just this genius work that will, gets this. It's like watching a Netflix, the best of Netflix movie. It really is gripping. You don't know what's happening and what's going to happen, and then it just all is revealed in such a clever way, and all in 20 minutes. It's a fantastic piece of work, so really happy to be bringing that to the stage. We're just coming to the end of the season, so it's that time when I spend a lot of time with the dancers and we talk about the season, so I see every dancer. So it's always it's a really special time for me, actually, because of course we have moments all during the year, but just to have some quality time together. But also it's time when I do the promotions, and I really love that moment that I think, a lot of these people now that are working in the company are people that I've brought into the company from the school, because most of the dancers come from the Royal Ballet School, either from White Lodge or the upper school. So I feel, they do all the work and they create their careers, but I'm part of that, and we do it together. And so it's a very special moment when you can make somebody a principal dancer. So I'm thrilled that this year I've been able to make Calvin Richardson a principal dancer and Joseph Sissons. So two extraordinary dancers who have come through the Royal Ballet School and into the company all the way through to hitting the heights of principal dancers. So it's a really special moment, and really enjoy. I think for them as well, I think it's a really nice moment when we're here in this office and go, okay, it's happened, you're here, you've reached this next stage of your career. And it only goes on from here, but it is obviously a moment for us. We've had lots of, it's been a great year for dancers taking on new roles, so there's a whole plethora of promotions that have been announced, and we'll see those dancers taking on many roles in the future.